two. Eggs were 54 cents a dozen. A loaf of bread cost 22 cents. And a gallon of gas was 30 cents. Rodney Zachry, his wife Maud, and their children, Jeff and Nancy, moved to Camden, and Rodney began his career at Fairview School. It's been almost 62 years since that time. Rodney held many titles at Fairview. He was teacher, he was coach, he was junior high principal, he was special programs coordinator, and lastly, he was assistant superintendent. We are honored to celebrate with him and his family on his 90th birthday coming up on December 5th. So, Coach, we're not just going to roast you. We're going to relive some moments and hopefully bring a smile to your face. So, the first up tonight, this afternoon, is going to be his eldest son, Jeff. Jeff, come ahead.
Nancy was an educator for a long time, 35 years or so. And then you have me. And I am just proud to be here. I am so confident in my manhood that I'm standing here before you with my toenails painted turquoise blue with a little bit of sparkle on it. I'm telling you, them granddaughters, they like to paint their toenails. I'm glad to see Rex and Becky here. Rex called, he sent me a text about a year ago, said, tell your dad we just got back from the Holy Land. And Dad told me to tell Rex, I didn't know you hadn't knew anybody in Texas. You remember that? All right. Dad first knew he had athletic ability when he was, according to my uncle, who was 2 years older than him, when he was about 10 years old, they were walking home one Saturday night. No moon out from the theater, and which they probably had to sneak in and get in because they didn't have any money. But anyway, little did they know they had a great uncle that was drunk in the ditch. And when they got up there to him, they're holding hands and scared, and all this. And he said, hey boys. And my uncle said he set a world record in 800 meters. So all you could see was sparks coming off his feet in the gravel all the way home. He was such a good marble player that as a fifth grader, the superintendent banned him from playing marbles at school. He could have marbles, he just couldn't shoot, couldn't do it. And then athletics, he had a junior high state championship team, which I don't know, was quite pretty weird. I've seen David, haven't seen Mike, seen Johnny. Harry, were you on that team or you were a year older? Was you a year older? You were on that team with Lewis and David and all of them? Or you a year older? Okay, all right. And Lewis wanted to be here, but he had a previous engagement that had been scheduled for about a year or so. And one of the highlights of his coaching career, when they were in the ninth grade that year, they won the state championship. They played. That's back when we played on Friday and Saturday nights. You played during the week. And Stevens was having a tournament, and they played that morning, so they could play that night. So, sure enough, I'm there with them. I'm in the 4th grade, you know, and they're taking care of me. And I go to the bathroom, and when I come back, they're gone. And I'm saying, oh no. So I run outside, and sure enough, the bus was gone. Here I'm 4th grade, 10 years old, scared to death, crying. You know, I'm gonna be in Northland. You know, they're gonna move across the street because they told me I couldn't cross the street. I'll never get to see them again. All kinds of things. And anyway, Lewis, the choir, thank God, he saved me more than I care to remember. They got about halfway home, and he said, Coach, yes, I'm on the bus. And he said, well, just where is he at? And Lewis said, I don't know. And he said, well, by God, it was y'all's job to take care of him. When y'all get him on the bus. So they drove back up, and I'm sitting there on the steps crying, you know, had a bag of basketballs bigger than me. But that was probably the highlight of his career. I got this story straight from Coach Jim Peppers about a month ago. He told me I could use it. And I won't be sorry for my French right off the bat. Anyway, when Rex and y'all were in 9th grade, I think the only 2 games they lost had been to Camden. And up there at Camden Gym, they got beat. And Coach Pepper said, he looked at us in there celebrating, he looked up. Here comes Rodney. Here comes Rodney into the dressing room. And he said, Coach, can I that happened in church the other day. He answered and said, hey, I'm in church. Leave me alone. So anyway, y'all know what's going on up here tonight. But okay. So he goes in and he's telling them how good they were, all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, he got that look on his face that he can get. He says, but I tell you one thing, next time we play, we're going to teach y'all that. And 2 weeks later in the conference tournament, they did. But it took them 4 overtimes to do it. They did. Sure did. Another good memory of mine, what it is, took place right here in this gym about right where I'm standing. They were working on the full court press. Billy Kennedy, he's down there somewhere, like doing what Billy does, you know. And the ball was down there, and Dad said, Billy, hand me the ball. And then he does this. And you know where the ball hit, right in the back of the head. So all he said was, Billy, hand me the ball. So Billy ran all the way up and hit him the ball. But, you know, I think Billy probably still remembers that too.
That was my story.
Dad was pretty hard-headed, as you might know. And I remember at that year with Rex and all that bunch, at Harrison at the state tournament, in the semifinals, we had to play Magnolia. And there was a disagreement on who was going to be the home team. And they had to call Little Rock to find out. But in the meantime, you've got Dad, Pat Foster, Connie Mallett, who was the head basketball coach at Magnolia, and Richard Miller, the junior basketball. They're all standing there at half court just shooting the breeze and carrying on. And both teams were warming up on the same thing. They were shooting 2-line layups together and all that stuff. But that's how hard-headed he was. He could have put up the end. Yeah, he was wrong. We had to go to the other end because he was wrong, but he wasn't going to admit it. Another highlight in his illustrious career happened about 2 years ago. And this image here, prettiest little curly-headed, blonde-headed boy, great-grandson you'll ever see of his. My grand, belongs to my youngest daughter. we was over in Hayfield moving hay, and he went with us. So we stopped by the coffee store and went in there to get us a Mountain Dew. And little did Dad know that you should not give a 4-year-old a 16-ounce bottle of Mountain Dew. He ran around that hayfield at least 6 times. It was about half a mile. It was a big one. And so, being what we are, we took him home, you know. And Nancy, my fiance, and Alyssa, and Sawyer was there, and Sawyer was just daring, hey, run down there again, you know, run down there again. I think he ran for about 3 hours before he finally collapsed. You know, we learned a valuable lesson on that one. Don't ever take them home. Him and Mom were married a long time. Long time. They had been married, I don't know, they was in their 50s. Been married, I don't remember this. I don't remember who the woman was, but she said, Mom, you and Rodney, y'all been together so long. How many happy, wonderful years have y'all had? And Mama said 2. That's Mom. Another time, Mama went to the doctor up here, and she come home. We lived on Evergreen Street. She was about 40. She come in and said, Rodney, Dr. House said, I have the body and the breast of a 22-year-old. And he said, well, what about that big ass bottom? And she said, she thought, said, he didn't mention you. Another time, he got mad when we was living out there on the farm. Another time, she got mad. You know, Dad's name is when he gets mad, he won't talk to you. He won't even acknowledge your presence. So when it early, he got mad at Mom. All day he didn't talk to her. About 6 o'clock at night, we was all down there, and she said, Rodney, if you think not talking to me today has hurt my feelings, I just want you to know I've had the most wonderful day I've had with you. Well, between those two, they've had three kids, 8 grandkids, and 9 great-grandkids. And they're all, except one, right over at that table. And that one has a big That one wife, he lives in San Antonio. That one's wife bought Zach, Nancy's oldest boy. He bought tickets about a year and a half ago to see Taylor Swift. And she's playing tonight in Miami, and they flew down there yesterday. So when Dad said, hey, you can go see Taylor Swift, just get her back to the ball game tomorrow night, more afternoon in Kansas City. Sports-wise, and I'll quit. Sports-wise, Dad was All-American, Stephen F. Hall. Some of his teammates, he scored a lot of points. Some of his teammates said never saw a shot in his life. So he was known to put it up. He had 2 All-State sons and 9 All-Conference of all of us, grandkids, kids, grandkids, and great-grandkids, 9 All-Conference. He had 2 youngins to win World Series when they was 12, 13 years old. Kate, I think y'all were runner up in the junior college World Series at Enid, Oklahoma. Had one golfer that went to UVA for the captain, my daughter, and he has been very, very blessed. We had a great childhood. Grew up in the best neighborhood in the world. And everybody thinks their dad's the best, but for me, just for me, he's the best there ever was. We love you, Dad.
the same school, studied from the same books, had the same teachers, went to the same churches, lived in the same community. And it's a bond that can only be made when you're young, in your formative years, growing up. And that's always been with me. When I went to college, I went to Southern State, and I never was a mule rider. I was a car. I was still a car. I love this place. It's good to see everybody's faces and recognize them. Immediately, a memory pops in your head. Something they said or did, or something you shared together, and it's precious. And we're blessed that we have this. But I don't know of any other schools that has all grade reunion. It's really special. I met Coach Zachry when I was 12 years old, in 1964, going into the 7th grade. Didn't know a thing about basketball. And I was intimidated. A lot of the guys I played with already knew how to play basketball. That was one thing about the whole experience during junior high basketball. Real good relationships were made, lifelong relationships. We grew up together. We played together, went to school together. It's precious. It's your formative time when you're trying to find out who you are, how to act, and how to treat other people. You're not you yet. You don't get to be you after you go through all this. And you're all searching for it. It's just a precious thing. But I was 12 years old. Dale mentioned the prices in '62. That was in 1964. First pair of Converse I bought, we had to buy our shoes back in 7th grade. Cost $8. My daddy had feet. He couldn't believe that tennis shoes were that expensive. You could buy a pair of PF Flyers for $4 or $5. But it was a big thing to get those shoes, and get that first uniform that's given to us, that card. That was a big thing. First year, like I say, I was intimidated. Young people really scrutinize older people. And I was one of them. I watched people like a hawk. One of the first things I noticed about Coach Zachry was he was a blinker. When he'd get upset or he had something important to tell you, he'd start blinking. And I realized pretty quick when he started blinking, that was time to listen. Because he noticed you too. But you learn a lot of things by osmosis. You learn the fellow's mannerisms, the way he does things. You just pick it up real quick. You fit in pretty quick. But I bet you Jeff and Nancy and Greg are familiar with that blanket. But you just notice things like that. He was a mentor to me, he was a coach, he was a teacher. He was one of the first ones that I had. My first impression of Coach Zachry, that's a turning fellow. I like the way he did things, I like the way he talked, I like the way he communicated with us to get his point across. And he had a way of making it work. And I appreciated that. He never did talk down to us. It seemed like he was always talking on our level. And I was 12 years old, 13 that first year. I've got a 12-year-old grandson. Man, I have a whole house full of them. It's like herding snakes. And he had the talent to do it. He was good at it. And the record that he had shows that he was an excellent coach. But he taught us a lot of other things besides basketball. He's very analytical. I remember he was teaching us the offense he came up with. He called it the overload offense. And that was designed to be used against the zone defense, which is what most junior high teams ran. And I mean, it was simple, but it was intricate. Everybody had a place to go. You didn't have the ball, you went in here. After you threw the ball, you went over here. Everybody was moving. like a machine. And I've even heard people say that they used to come watch us play because it was like watching a machine. He had that down. He believed in preparation, practice. One of his big things was conditioning. Now, he even mentioned something a while ago about all these lines on this court. That was a little drill we did. Run the free throw line back, half court back, next free throw line back, all the way to the end. We were in 1,000. You know, sometimes I thought he was going one stop. I about reached my stop. You know, I thought of that. You remember the movie Ben-Hur? Do you remember the guy down in the bottom of the ship that was the cage keeper? He beat the drum and they had gold, and he kept getting faster and faster and faster. Coach Zachry. He was the cage keeper. But he always pushed us a little further than we thought we could go. That's the best thing I've ever read in my life, those 3 years. We ran a lot of weights for this, did a lot of things. Coach taught us a lot of things. Teamwork, preparation, visualization. And he liked people big work. In the 7th grade, I was 12 years old again. He was telling us to teach us something. He used the word continuity. That's a 5-syllable word. I hadn't heard many about it. And I really didn't know what it meant. But I figured it out. Continuity means don't stop until you die. But he knew where the stopping point was. He was good at it. I appreciated that. Appreciate the way you communicated with us. Like I said, he was really good at getting on your level. He didn't talk down. He knew how to talk to kids. We had a lot of learning to do. But from 7th grade to 9th grade, we progressed. We got way better. My class was pretty lucky. When we were in 7th grade, I think there was 1 9th grader. That meant that 7th graders could be the biggest part of the second day. So we got to practice a little more, we got to play a little more, and that helped us. We were other years when we got to the 1st grade, he had us ready. We didn't always. He had us ready. That was he, talking about the way he talked to me, he could get on to me pretty good. But it wasn't as punishment. It was always correct. Always to make you better. He ate me out several times. I did a lot of stupid things. But he didn't stay mad. I mean, he'd go back to being Coach Zachry. That's an honor. Well, that's all. I just didn't see that side of him. He was good at what he did. There was a song several years ago when I was thinking about this by Dan Fogelberg, and it was named Leader of the Band. It was about his father. Y'all remember that song? I love Dan Fogelberg. It's a good song. But he had a little phrase in there about his dad. And it said he had a thundering bell in hand. And that's a pretty big juxtaposition. But that guy had that master. He could get on to you. But it didn't hurt. I mean, it didn't hurt him. He knew how to come on. I'm going to tell you a little story. Perry Morgan's here tonight. Everybody's got Perry Morgan's story. If you know Perry he was a unique guy. Perry traveled in his own life. He did things his way. And that was all right. I admired him for that. Perry was 100%. And that guy played ball, he gave it all. He gave 100%. But he had his way of doing it. I remember one night during the game, Perry got in the game. He was chasing a loose ball. He ran up in the stands chasing that ball. And he turned around and sat down by a guy who had a bag of popcorn. Perry just reached in, got his hand on popcorn, in his mouth, and went back over that. I was sitting by my agreement. I said, he's gonna kid me. He's gonna kid me. He finally got over there. Coach Zachry grabbed him by the arm and he said, Mary, if I wasn't a Christian, I'd kill you. Thunder and velvet hair, because he was laughing inside. Like the rest of us. He was grinning when we said, that's a perfect example of that. He taught us a lot of things. His coaching techniques work. He taught us, as I said, get your yourself being a kid. We wanted to tell you how patient the guy was with the cold-headed country boys and we wanted. We went to a state tournament in Red Arkansas. I believe it was the second or first time I'd ever been on the road. For some reason, we didn't go on the bus because there was a great snowstorm. The roads were icy, over 100 miles to DeWitt. He took 5 of us, 12, 13-year-old boys in the car with him, and set out for DeWitt on those icy roads. Like I said, I've got a 12-year-old grandson. I couldn't ride anywhere with 2 like him 10 miles. When he was patient, he was just like one of us. We didn't have a wreck. He had a lot of attributes like that. By osmosis, we got to relate. He always set an example. You know, it's 4 or 5 men who had a big effect on my life. I call them my heroes. I will get up here and just talk about it because I get nervous about that. He's one of them. He's better than me. You know, I believe God puts people in his life a lot of times because he's got something he wants you to get from. Coach Zachry is that kind of, he manifested me. He touched me. And I've never forgotten it. I think about it a lot. Precious memories. The guys I played ball with, whatever year I remember Stephen Johnson, Gilbert Senior. Those guys don't play ball. Rex Hall, Charlie Roberts, guys, Mickey Dan Lewis. Man, I've got good memories of all of them guys. And the bond that brought us together, working together to achieve that Coach Zachry games. And it wasn't just the ball teams, the cheerleaders, and everybody had their little groups and they worked together. And that makes you close. And those are memories of all this thing. I'm glad I was in his orbit for 3 years. It was pretty close to him. Because he knew a lot of me. He's affected a lot of people. And that shows by all of you that you. That's a legacy. I respect you, Coach.
Miss Linnell Henson is Mr. Coach Zachry's secretary. Yes. Well, Miss Linnell asked me to read her thoughts right here. She didn't want to have to come up here. She says, here are my thoughts for Coach Zachry. During my years of working with Coach Zachry, he was always fair when discipline was needed. We had fun times as well as serious times. One of the fondest memories I have of Coach Zachry was when asked for decisions on family issues, he would always refer them to his wife, Mama. Thank you, Miss Linnell. Next up, we have Nancy. Go ahead, Nancy.
I'm the middle child, and I'm Nancy, and I don't have any notes, so I'm just going to wing it, and I won't talk very long. When Deb asked, we talked about this, she wanted memories of my dad coaching. Well, I don't have very many because I wasn't very old when he stopped coaching, but I do have wonderful memories of this gym. When Dad was coaching, and even after he stopped, all of the coaches' kids, while the games were going on, we roamed every inch of this gym, and Maud and Marguerite and some of the others never knew where we were. And I don't think they cared. But, well, I just have such great memories, but I just want to share one memory of my dad or one story of my dad that some of you may not be aware of. You may be aware that when he stopped coaching in 1968, he did the radio broadcast for the basketball games for about 5 years. And he would have done it longer than that, but he got fired from that job. And I don't know how many knew that he got fired. And how he got fired, he was doing the broadcast for the Camden Fairview game, and it was at Camden. And he was doing this pre-game talk and talking about how it was such a big rivalry and how wonderful the rivalry was, and it was a great atmosphere, and it was standing room only. And now we were at Camden, and he said, "It's just too bad their gym's so ratty." He said as soon as he said that, he knew he was in trouble. He shouldn't have. So Monday morning, after he got to school, John Willie Harrell came to see him and told him, "I love you, Zach, but I'm going to have to cut you loose. You can't say those kind of things during a broadcast because we have a lot." His kids went to Camden, and he said we have a lot of supporters of this radio company that's from Camden. So that's one of my favorite stories. A lot of people didn't know that. One of the stories that I want to share with you is about my mother, as much as it is him. And this was at home after he became an administrator. It was one cold winter morning, and it was a heavy frost, and Dad parked his truck on the side driveway, and there was a heavy frost. We was running a little late, which I can't even believe because he's never been late for anything in his life, but his late and my late are not the same thing. But he was running late, so Mom went out with him with a pitcher of water to help him get the frost off of his windshield because it was cold. So he gets in the truck, starts it, and she pours the water on his truck. He's got his windshield wipers going. Well, she stops that, and he's about to back out, and he noticed she walks over to his window. Now this was probably in the late 70s, so he had to crank his window down. He thought she was going to tell him something. And as soon as he rolled his window down, Mom took that water. And she was going to clean off the window of his truck too. And she took that water and she just and she said he didn't say a word. He just rolled that window up and back down. And Dad said when he got to the bus garage that morning, Mr. Jameson said, "Zach, you got ice in your eyebrows. What in the world is happening to you?" Tell that story. But I know there's lots of wonderful stories. I appreciate all of you being here today. He's just the best. Thank you.
Hey, wait a minute. You need to turn around. I don't want to face you telling all of this. So what? Well, I will say this. Rodney, there's more people here today than lives in Locksburg. Did you send out invitations? Tell them to be here, huh? Oh, goodness. Well, I am Marguerite Branch, and my husband was George Branch, who is no longer with us, but lots of good memories between our families, for sure. And I just want to share just a few little things with you. But, and at my age, I'm in my 85th year. You can say what you want to, because they're not going to listen anyway. And another thing is, they'll say, oh, she's so sweet and kind. And when you turn to walk off, they'll say, God bless her heart. I've had that said to me a lot of times. Okay. I've known Rodney a long time. We go a long way back. Longer than his kids knew, his grandkids, and maybe longer than, not longer than Maud, because they grew up together. But Maud and I went to college together. And she was a great person. As a matter of fact, I liked Maud a whole lot more than I did Rodney. I think a lot of other people did too. But anyway, there's been some nice things said about him, but he's a good guy. He was a good coach, had some good ball teams, and I remember the championship game. I definitely do. Jimmy Harris was one of those that I remember well. But we've known each other for, it seems like a lifetime. But I'm from Ashdown, and of course Rodney being from Locksburg. Everybody knew everyone that lived up on that Oklahoma line, if you know what I'm talking about, from Texarkana all the way up through Mena, all the way up to Fairview. And there were some bad dudes that lived on that line, believe you me. But Rodney was one of the good ones. Our story actually started, I'm going to tell this, and Rodney, you can close your ears if you want to, I don't care. When the guys were coaching back in the day, you coached all sports. And George's first coaching job was at Ashdown. And that's where we met, at a ball game, of course. And Rodney was coaching at Locksburg. And I don't think we played Locksburg on a home and away game, that kind of thing. This had to be during a tournament. Rodney, don't you cover your ears up, because I know you remember this. All right, well, George was coaching basketball, like I say, and Rodney was at Locksburg. I don't know if the teams were just bad or what, but everybody on Ashdown's team almost had fouled out. Rodney still had his 5 players out there playing. And this was too funny. I remember this. Somebody up in it was got to about the last minute or two of the ball game. And the game was pretty tight, I guess. But to be honest with you, I don't remember who won it because of the commotion that took place. Somebody up in the stands hollered out and said, "Hey, Coach," talking to Rodney, "why don't you take some of your players out and make this an even game?" And if you've ever seen Rodney do this, you've seen something. He said, "I'm not here to win a sportsmanship trophy. I'm here trying to win a ball game." He probably won. I don't even remember. But we had lots of good memories. We were a real close family. Just lived houses away from each other. Our kids grew up together. And you're right, Jeff, Evergreen Street was the street to live on. There were 52 kids on that 2 blocks. And they all congregated, seemed like, between our house and the Zachry's. But we had lots of good friendships, and I never shall forget any of them. Another thing I want to tell you, after they got through with their coaching jobs, we did not realize when we moved here that Maud and Rodney lived here. Because we had known them back in the day from Ashdown to Locksburg. But I think Rodney's first, after you left Locksburg, you came here. I believe that's right. All right, well, George and I hung around Ashdown for 4 more years, and then we had a couple more stops before we came here. And needless to say, the first people we saw when we got here was Rodney. And like I say, and Maud, she was a dear friend. Miss that girl big time. But after all their coaching stopped, well, it all comes to an end. You know, you coach all sports, you do everything, and that's what these young coaches don't know. Let me tell you something. When you coached back in the day, you did it all. You taught 7 periods a day, you coached all sports, and you were happy to do it because you wanted to coach. That's what you wanted to do. Well, Rodney moved up to a principal's job in the junior high, and eventually George, he quit coaching. He went into the administration as well, the superintendent for the last 26 years, I guess. I don't know. It's been a long time, long time. But I'm going to tell this, Rodney. You listen. Close your ears if you want to. They were going to a conference. They had a big administrative meeting in Chicago, and all the administrators were supposed to be there. Well, I think 3 of ours went, and I don't remember. I know it was George and Rodney and somebody else. I don't know who else. They got to Chicago, and come to find out, they had the biggest game going on. The Bulls were playing. They wanted to go see the Bulls play. And that was when the Bulls, they had Scottie Pippen and, what's his name? Jordan. And who was that bad dude that played with all the earrings? Rob. Okay. Well, anyway, they knew they couldn't get a ticket. They tried every way to get a ticket. Couldn't find a ticket anywhere. So Rodney decided, let's split up and we'll go out and see if we can find some tickets and we'll get in and see this ball game. And sure enough, they split up, and in a little bit he came right back, waving some tickets. He had some tickets coming right here. All right. Well, they were all excited. They go to get in line to go up and hand the tickets to the ticket taker over there, and he looks at it, looks at this bunch from Arkansas, I guess you would say, and said, young man, you are in Chicago. Said, that was a great ball game. We had the biggest crowd here you've ever seen. It was one of the best ball games that's ever been played in this arena. But said, you know what? We don't give a 2-for-1 here anymore. This was last night's ball game. Rodney, I want to ask you, did they reimburse you for buying those tickets? Went home and watched it on TV. That was great. I think I told it correctly. Anyway, but anyway, it was been as my husband would have said, it's been a hell of a ride, and we have had fun. This has been the best. We had a good school, wonderful school here, wonderful teachers, wonderful athletic directors and coaches, and great friends. Everybody, all the teachers were good. The kids were good. I was good, and I was a wife, and I had been asked to leave ball game one time. I won't say what. But I want to thank you all for listening to my reminiscence a little bit. But we were a good family. They were a good family. We had good friendships, and our kids are all still pretty close, every one of them. Thank y'all for listening to me. Thank you, Ryan. Happy birthday. Everybody, his birthday is not until December the 5th, so you will have to get your cards out and letters and send it to them, okay? All right. Thank you for listening to me. As that guy on TV says, thank you for your time.
Coach Zachry told me he didn't have his hearing aids in, so I'm going to make sure he hears this. And I told him that anything we say don't hold us against us. He said he was past that. So, first things first, though, I talked to Coach Foster, Pat Foster, about 3 days ago, and he said to tell everybody he wanted to be here, but he's had some health issues. He's fine, but he couldn't come. And he thinks the world of Coach Zachry. And but he wanted me to share that with everybody. I'm going to tell some Richard Ludwig stories. He tells them better than I do. Richard said that when he was in 7th and 8th grade, he had the privilege of sitting on the bench all the time. And that he remembers two specific things. One was that, I think it was you, Perry, we got beat. We didn't get beat very much, so he probably was a seventh grader. And he said that Perry was grinning after the game and talking to somebody. And that Coach Zachry came in the dressing room and he said a few choice words to us. And then he said, and dadgummit, nobody needs to be smiling when we get beat. He kicked the bench out from under Richard Lusby and Dennis Beard. I don't remember that. And then he told me one about we were playing in Beard, and Richard and Dennis never got in the game. And Richard said we were so far ahead at halftime that they got to start. And they didn't know how to line up for the jump ball. And Coach graciously showed them how to do it. The referee showed him. And then they ran the offense for about 3 minutes without shooting. Coach called timeout, had a grin on his face, and said, the object of this game is to shoot the ball. So Richard still remembers that, and he loves the coach. Now, I asked several people, and Mike Green, who can't be here today, shared this with me, and I asked him, I said, do you remember Coach Zachry smoking? Oh yeah. He smoked in the dressing room before the game and then halftime. Now, y'all remember that was a different time. But I tried to figure out why he did it, and I think at halftime is he wanted to give us our second win. I don't know for sure. But now this is rumor. You mentioned Locksburg, Miss Branch, and I understand that his high school coach had a lot of discipline. The players couldn't smoke on the bench unless they were ahead. So that answers that question. And by the way, I asked Rex if he remembered Coach. He said, no, smoking. But I still remember as a sophomore in track, Coach Zachry out running, quitting smoking. And that was a great impression on me. And I just wanted to share those things with you. The last time Susan and I, my wife, and I went to visit Coach was a couple of years ago. He just turned 88. And he told me, he said, man, he said, COVID really got my lungs. And I was feeling kind of sorry for him. And then, after about 15 minutes, he said, you and Susan probably need to go now. Jeff and I are going to haul hay. So I didn't feel as sorry for him then. That's probably right. The last thing I want to say, Coach, we love you. I remember when we were 8th or 9th, right? We were shooting baskets on that. And Coach would tell us, okay, this is the last free throw, and it's probably Jimmy shooting. He said, we're tied, it's for the state champions. He told us at that time when we was in state champions. Thank you.
I need to talk a little while? Oh, that's right. I left my hearing aids at home. You always dressed us. You had everything prim and proper. You always conducted yourself with control. You were in control. When you were there with us, you were in control. You always knew. I left my breakfast too. Everybody's intent on what you needed done. And you told us, this is what I want you to do every plan. You always required a winning attitude. That went back to where I was talking when I went laughing when we lost. Anyway. I knew you loved it then. But if we did lose, you regained, found out what you needed to do to fix it. And then we fixed it and won the next one. I've lost so many rounds. You'd watch out for us coming from the senior high part of the building, coming down to the junior high part of the building, and see those little girls in the ninth grade. And then you'd shoo us back to the principal. I know you were always looking out for me. You were always dependable. You had a listening ear. If somebody needed to talk to you, or they needed somebody to talk to personally, you were there. You were there to help us. Anytime, anywhere. On the basketball court, walking down the street, you were always there when somebody needed help. And I can't remember if it was Coach Foster or you, but I'm thinking it was you, because I was on the basketball court, and the ball hit me in the back of the head and said, "Perry, you ain't got eyes in the back of your head." We let him. Did you need me to call him?
If y'all don't know me, it was probably on purpose because I usually was in trouble. So, anyway, I'm going to sit down because my dad has to relive this. And I want him to hear this because this story only, until recently, me, Miss Henson, and my dad knew. So I want him to hear it from my lips. So, it's a good one. So, when I don't have memories of Dad coaching, or I'm just going to talk to you. I don't have memories of you coaching. But I have memories of your office because I spent a lot of time there when I was little. And they sent me to kindergarten for 3 years, and I never figured it out, but I guess I needed it. So, but back then it was half day, and in the afternoon I was spending with Dad, and Miss Henson was there. And on this particular day, he was making his rounds, or you were making the rounds. And you told me to stay in the office and don't bother Miss Henson. I was all right. I mean, 5, probably. So, what do 5-year-olds do? I started opening drawers. And Dad at this time was a principal, and apparently he had confiscated some items that I found attractive. I found a deck of playing cards that were different than any I had ever seen in my life. They had these women all over them, and they weren't wearing clothes. So as I was, remember I'm 5, as I'm spreading these out on the floor, I find a knife. It's one of those you push the button, you take it out. So I'm sitting there cross-legged on the floor in all its glory, and I hear the door, but I don't look, but Miss Henson says, Gregory. Now I knew Gregory meant I was in trouble. And what did I do? And she goes, where did you get those cars? And then out of Dad's desk. She said, you come in here and stay with me. So after he got done making his rounds, she came back in and said, Rodney, Greg was looking for a few things in your desk, and we just left what he found on your desk. And I stood out there, and he came out of his office, and he was redder than this tablecloth. And that's the first time my dad said, do not tell your mother. I know there's others that say, there's too many stories that us know, to let y'all know, but I'm going to say one more thing, Pop. And Philip, all y'all know this. We would go to the lake in the summertime. And I think he taught everyone in that neighborhood how to ski, him and George, and we were all there with the power. But anyway, we slept on cots outside. I'm gonna get choked up, but the most special time, because we had to share our dad. He refereed, and we had to share our parents as well. But anyway, he would tap me on the head some mornings at the lake. It would be 6 a.m. It would just be me and him. He'd say, you want to ski? And I would say, yeah, Dad, I do. Anyway, that's my story. Thank you.
I know you could hear the class of 1970. Hi, Coach Zachry. I'm Steve Johnson. I'm a class of 1969 graduate, and I'm a junior high basketball player, 63, 64, 64, 65, 65, 66. I've been along. I want to thank you, Coach Zachry, for your service to Fairview and my class. And, thanks for all the good times, the caring and leadership, the organization, education, and enthusiasm. It was an honor to play for you. You also coached my brother. He was a year behind me, and he played on your state championship team. Just a quick story, he played about 2/3 of the season, and then developed mononucleosis and had to leave the team. But you all won the state championship, and I remember at we won the state assembly that everybody had, and you went to special effort to make my brother part of the team. I'll always remember that. Now, there are some other things that make it wasn't so special, but do you remember turning around the bus to go to Miss the Black Cat at Emerson? I mean, so you're hard to roast. But I'll roast you over these line bridges now. It's very cold. I was kind of afraid just being here. So, you deserve roast there. And otherwise, thanks for everything. Glad I played.
So I'll say everything I want to say. Can y'all hear me? My name's Sonia Butler, and I was a student in this wonderful school from first grade through the 12th. And then I taught fourth grade for about 32 years. And it was a wonderful time in my life. And part of those happy years was due to the fact that I had really good bosses, and he was one of them. I counted a privilege and an honor to have known the Zachry family and been friends with them for more than 50 years. I know I left much older than 50. Oh goodness, I've already started lying. On the early years of my career, teachers and coaches lived as near to the school as possible for convenience sake. My wonderful husband Raymond and I and our oldest son Mike, lived on the corner of Cardinal and Redbud. Our Lance hadn't been born yet. And Maud and Rodney and their 3 kids lived on the corner of Cardinal and everything. Many of the children in the neighborhood became really good friends, especially Mike and Greg, because they were close to the same age, and they ran back and forth and played from house to house. He's saying my precious child got him in trouble, no? Anyway, Greg had this special penchant for climbing our apple tree, and he'd get up there and then he couldn't get down. And he'd holler, "Miss Parker, come get me down." And another funny story about Greg later on after we moved and he was a teenager, he was supposed to be mowing the yard. He'd mow it wrong on purpose so that his perfectionist dad would come out there and finish it. Maud and I also became very good friends. She truly was one of the funniest, sweetest, and all-around best human beings I've ever known. And we're all going to get up here and cry thinking of her. But I know a few things about Rodney's growing up years, and I hope I get them all right. Both he and Maud lived and grew up in Locksburg, Arkansas, and where Maud's dad owned a grocery store and Rodney's dad owned a farm. One of my favorite stories is about Rodney as a boy of about 8 years old. He was driving the family tractor, and in their field, and a classmate came by and said, "Wow, Rodney, your dad lets you drive the tractor." Rodney responded, "Lets me, heck, he makes me." Rodney's always been and still is an extremely hard worker, which along with talent led to his being star basketball player at Locksburg in high school, and he earned a basketball scholarship to Stephen F. Austin University, where he and Maud had fallen in love by this time, and they got married and moved to Texas, to Nacogdoches. While he was a student there, he's dedicated member of the basketball team. Rodney was named All-American in basketball. That's an honor that not many athletes achieve. Pardon me. I don't know what year Maud and Rodney came to work and live in Fairview, because I was away at college at SAD, and I got married when we moved to the big city of Stevens, Arkansas. But I believe Maud taught junior high English and Rodney taught history, and he was a very successful junior high basketball coach. Later, after going back to college and earning administrative hours, Rodney became Fairview's junior high principal. During this stint as principal, he had this particularly troublesome girl who liked to run away from school. And one of the times when he let her go, one of the times when she ran away, he went after her and he got her and we were going back, and she called him an old SOB. only she didn't use the initials. And he said, I beg your pardon, young lady, I am not old. And then he led her back to class. Rodney earned a master's degree, and later he had an outstanding career as a very efficient and effective assisting superintendent at Fairview, and then became in Fairview. While he had this job, he wore many hats, at least 5 of them. He was the athletic director, he was the director of transportation, he was the curriculum director, and I don't remember the other 2. But I do remember after he retired, they had to hire 2 people to take his place. I remember seeing Rodney after he retired, and this big, huge smile. He said, Sonia, it's so wonderful. You just go to the mailbox, and there's this wonderful check from the teacher retirement that I paid into all those years. Later, after all our kids were grown, old friends and neighbors, Marguerite, Branch, and Maud and I would celebrate each other's birthdays and go shopping and eat out, usually at El Dorado. And we had a great time laughing. Maud was so funny. But Rodney told us, until the time came, the sad day when Rodney told us he was fearful for Maud to go with us anymore because of her illness. He was the most loving and attentive husband I've ever seen to Maud during this difficult time. I would see them at the beauty shop, and he would be sitting there while she got her hair fixed in a manicure, patiently reading a magazine until she was finished. Over those many years, I've seen him be an extremely loving father, husband, father, grandfather, and great-grandfather, and kind to all those around, and just an all-around caring person. He's a person who has his priorities in right order. God's first in his life, family second, and others third. And by the way, that work ethic still holds true. He mows his own gigantic yard. He helps Jeff cut hay in pastures all over the country. And I realize that this is supposed to be a roast, but I can't do that when all I have is praise and adoration for him. Thank you.
Since Jeff first started, can y'all hear me okay? Okay, now? Okay, I guess you say I'm the reason Rodney quit sports and went into admin. We had I was an 8th grader and got to play for the 9th grade, and we have a lot of good things. The stories I'm going to tell you've heard, but I'm going to tell you the true story. Okay? First one, we're playing in the state tournament. To say Rodney gets a little excited with the interstate. But we're going on a fast break. They throw me the ball. I don't catch it. I kick it. There's a stand behind the goal that has a scoreboard on it. I knocked it over. And I'm turning to head back to the other end because I don't want to hear him yelling at me. And I look, and he's kicked the bench and knocked all the players off. Not just 1 or 2, but all of them were laying on the floor. So I got away with that one. But the real story on the basketball, we're in a gym, which I spent half my life in this gym. And coach calls us all together, and it's going to prove a point. And he said, somebody throw me a ball. Well, I did. Right in the back of the head. And it just got deadly quiet. And he turned around and he said, who did that? Like that. And he said, Mike Severe. Mike, get the ball. Hand Billy the ball. Billy, hand me the ball. Just as calm as you can be. And I'm over just, what's he going to do, But he didn't do nothing, which I was surprised, expecting everything. But I did learn from his extensive vocabulary
what the word epitomize means. And I epitomize what he didn't want in the player at times. But I did bring a present today. It's a replica of a replica of a replica of the ball I used to kick over the scoreboard and hit you in the back of the head. And I signed it, and everybody here, I'd like for you to get a chance to sign it. Just give Rodney something to remember his life. I mean, he's got the knot on the back of the head to remember me, but not everybody. So, and it's a small enough size, Coach, so that you can hold it too. I had to get a smaller size. So, I've got a pen and a ball. I've already signed it, and you know, I played basketball for this man. I really enjoyed it, still do. I can speak those instances clearly every day. And then we took up golf, and there's a lot of other stories I could tell you about golf. I won't. But Coach, I really enjoyed it. You've been a great friend. Thank you.
And here comes the last guy.
Well, I asked to be the last guy, and because I knew, Coach, that they were going to have some great stories to tell. And I'm a son guy, I don't have a great story to tell. I want to talk about a great man, an exceptional man, Rodney Zachry. We're here to celebrate 90 years of his life, and that in itself is a feat, Coach. 90 years, that's incredible. Go ahead and mark your calendar. Go ahead and mark your calendars for 10 years from now. Some of you will still be around. I probably won't, but Coach will be 100, you know, in about 10 years, so it'll be another great celebration. Coach has often said that he and Mrs. Zachry came to Cullendale, to Fairview, looking for a job and found a home. And we are the beneficiaries of them finding a home in this community and staying all these years, having impact on so many people. And I'm so grateful today to come to just say before you, and I know I speak for all the guys who played for you, the folks in school, Coach, that we're better people because of you. All that you mean to us. I love playing ball. This gym, as we talked about, is just, we spent hundreds and hundreds, literally, of hours across 6 years in this gym. And the guys who played and the guys who've spoken today, it's meant so much to me and brought back so many memories. Because honestly, I'm one of those guys that don't remember a whole lot of things. I just don't. Becky remembers in the elementary school what she wore on the third Thursday of November when she was in the 2nd grade. But that's a whole different story. That's a whole other thing. But here's what I know about Coach Zachry. And I speak of it personally, but it represents all these guys. Coach Zachry was a wonderful coach, a great coach. He was responsible for a lot of the great teams that Coach Foster had because he taught us how to play basketball and he taught us how to be a team. But the thing that I so often remember and think about is that Coach had confidence in me. And he gave me confidence. He had confidence in me. He believed in what I could do, what ability I had, what I could do for the team and to help the team, and he had confidence in me. Becky sometimes says that he overdid that he gave me maybe too much confidence, but the coach is responsible for that confidence. And not only that, it was just a wonderful thing to play for him and to think about the impact that he had. You look back and you realize there's a few folks that really have had an impact on you. Naturally, your parents, for most of us, that was a great influence. Our church, our pastors, our friends, but I'll tell you, coaches have an inordinate amount of influence on a young man or a young woman who they're coaching. And that can be for good or for bad. And we're all here today to testify, Coach, that yours is all good. And we're grateful for it. But not only was it while we were playing for him, but for me, it's been a continual blessing because from time to time we're down church or different places, and would see Jeff and see Coach. And even to this day, Coach would come up and we'd talk before or after church. He'd say, Rex, that was a great message. I appreciate it. I liked your delivery. I liked the cadence, I like the way you did this or you did that, and I thought, here I am, 71-year-old guy, and I'm still grateful to hear my coach say, that was a good job. That was a good thing. Now, honestly, I probably know a little bit more about preaching than Coach Zachry does, but he knows about everything else more than I do. And so for him to take time to say a word like that is something that's just so wonderful. You guys will remember who played ball, and you talk to your competitors sometimes, and you'd see them in later years, and they'd always say about this gym that we're in today, well, I thought that was a church. It looked like a church from the outside, not a gym. And you know what? I like that for a lot of reasons. But one being, this is kind of a sacred place to us. It's about all that's left of old Fairview. And this is a place that we lived in, the players. And it is a sacred place to us, Coach. It wouldn't be nearly as sacred or nearly as meaningful if not for you. So we're here to say thank you. We're grateful to you. You're a remarkable man, not because you're turning 90 years of age, but just the man you were 50, 60 years ago, the man you are now, but the man you'll be as long as the Lord allows you to be here in this place. So let's just join and sing to Coach Zachry. God bless you. We love you. We're thankful for you.
Thank you. Rex kind of took the words out of my mouth. I was going to tell y'all to look around. Look around at this building. It's all we got. It's all we got. And so I thank every one of you for your support of the Friends of Fairview Alumni Group. The girls are in the back. If you want to pay your $20 dues per year, it goes, every penny goes to our gym, whether they need it for electricity, for water, whatever they need. But anyway, it's been a wonderful afternoon, Coach. Happy birthday. Oh, he wants to talk. Come on.
God bless you. Thank you. Please be seated. This cheer Sailors, stand up. Here's one of my pride great-granddaughters, a cheerleader. Thank you. She's heard this. She hears them all because as soon as I find out, I'll share it with her. This cheer. You know, 2 bits, 4 bits, rah-rah, all that stuff. Cheer. Walks into this bar. And the bartender says, "What can I give you?" And the cheer said, "Give me a C!" Now that is funny because I see the stunned look in your face. You know, a cheer, C, give me a C. I have many more that I know you would appreciate like you did this one. I just want to say that, hey Dave, I just want to say that when you reach 90, you can be as silly as you want to be and no one even knows it. I figured out how to survive. Me being by myself the last 7 years, I figured out how to survive. You elderly people, Lou, you know about this. You've been there. You walk in a room, they don't even know you're there. You interrupt them in a conversation, and they just ignore you and go right on. They don't even to fuss at you. They just go about it. But my key to living a good elderly life is to wear lots of beige and to keep your mouth shut. It has worked for me and it will work for you. Maud, my wife, late wife, has been mentioned a few times tonight, thank God for her. I was very, very lucky to marry a novel lover. She was a librarian. We're here to celebrate. Maud and I have been married a few years, and regardless of what you've heard this evening, she was the cornerstone of our marriage and our family. And if you don't believe what I said, you could have asked her if she was here, and she would tell you yes. But a couple of years after we were married, we were sitting there after dinner watching TV, and she said, "Rodney, let's establish some parameters of our marriage, so we'll be careful not to step on each other's toes." I said, "Okay, I'm game. What do you got?" And she said, "I want you to think really, really deep about this before you answer, but here's what I would propose." She said, "Why don't you make all of the important decisions that needs to be made in a marriage, and I will just pick up the crumbs and make the little ones." Me, knowing Maud, to myself, hey, that sounds too good to be true. That ain't gonna fly. So I said, "Maud, do you have any examples of what I'm going to be deciding?" And she says, "Yes, the national debt, the climate change, and those kind of things. You can make decisions about that, but I will carry the checkbook, I will write the check, and I will do that sort of thing." And she did. She was different. She was very open. She named, back in the late years of our working life, really 33, 34 years ago, just yesterday, we decided we would move to the country, build a house, build a home, and spend, after we retired, the rest of our lives there. Because we knew, as someone said earlier, that when we came here looking for a job, we found a home, and we were committed. We were here to stay. The community was the greatest since Opie and whatever that show was on TV. But we built our home, we moved, we lived there about 2 years. And she told me one morning she was going to give this place a name because she had so much respect for it. I said, "Well, Maud, what are you going to name our farm out here in the country?" She said, "Oleo Acres." And I said, "Why Oleo Acres?" And she said, "It's such a cheap spread." That's Maud. But I want to tell you, though, that the ones that are here, maybe all of you are pretty up on the middle part of my career because that's where you fit. You heard a lot of the earlier part. I won't mention I won't mention Locksburg again because it's been mentioned too much already. Maybe one passing thought is that Locksburg was so small that the town bully and the town nerd were one and the same. So that's enough to mention that. But you're not necessarily familiar with that, nor are you familiar with the latter part of my career. I retired in 1994. Can you believe I go down to that mailbox once a month for 34 years, and there's the most wonderful piece of paper there you have ever seen. It has already been deposited in the checking account. And you know, the greatest part about that is a month from now, it's going to be another one down there. Let me see, I think you've been asked to stand once. Let me see those that are honored each month by either opening their bank statement or going down to the mailbox and checking the mail. Those people who retired from education, would you please stand? I just want you to see. When Tom, you all, look at you. Congratulations. You're part of this community. You're wonderful. Thank you. So the last part of my life, I've been retired since 94. What would that be? Greg? Huh? A long time. Since I got Greg's attention here, let me share one story with you, and I will put on my beige clothing and shut my mouth. Back when Greg was 6 years old, the Boys Club initiated a 6, 7, and 8-year-old basketball league at the Boys Club. They lowered the goals from 10 to 8 feet. But they played on a regular court. For those who were classmates of Mike Thompson, let me see your hand. Do you remember Mike Thompson? Graduated, I think he was with Mike's a big Rex. Was he with your group? Was Mike with your group? Okay, Mike was his coach, a high school kid. And he did a credible job. But in those days, they didn't have kindergarten. So he was a pre-first grader. During the game, Mike, his basketball coach, kept hollering at Gregory, "Greg, guard 37. It went on for 3 quarters till the end of the game. The game was over, and in those days, there were no seatbelts, there were no laws against playing tag in the back seat. And Marguerite can verify this, that the area of Camden, the town of Camden, had nicknamed Maud as Maud and the Maudettes because she had about 8 grandkids and they were all within 2 or 3 years of each other. Hell, it looked like a covey of quail walking down the streets at Camden. Maud and the Maudettes. So I wanted you to let you know what the riding in an automobile was in those days, if you don't remember. So we got in the car and was driving home. You know, the car stretched from here back there, all cars did. And Greg was the only, I don't know where Nancy and Jeff were. Nancy might have been playing Sheila, No one has said a word. He said, Mom, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah, why? He said, what's a 37? You've got to bounce that ball a little, you know, what a 37 is. I said, that go kindergarten. He didn't know what numbers were, you know. He couldn't even spell his name. He didn't even answer the question correctly when I asked him to. But no, I have a wonderful family. This occasion is somewhat about my family, and I appreciate that. But I did not have a whole lot to do with Beth. A lot of the comments that were made, I didn't recognize the guy that they were describing. But I want to tell you this. There has not been a community in the United States that had a better environment for family and education and religion as Fairview did from 62 on. You would listen to what some of the people have said tonight and say, well, the guy enjoyed a little success. I did. I'm not taking any credit for it. I had wonderful supervisors. George Branch was one of the best. He let me do my job. We always kidded other administrators, always kidded George. We could kid and go on. We always tell that George treated us all the same. He treated us all just like dogs. But anyway, we had good monitors, we had good supervisors. If you couldn't have success here, you might as well get another job, do something else. So thank you, parents, thank you, grandparents, and the great grandparents that are here. And one last comment before I head to the monitor. Let me see you stand, all of the athletes that played for me. There's quite a few other people. Yeah, would you please stand for just a moment? Rex, thank you again. Over there, David. We've got two of our state championship on that team. We got David and Johnny Kelly. And Steve and Harry, if we could kick Dickie Dan's ass and him not break an ankle at Harrison, you would have had a state championship team. And what I mean by that, in those days we had the Arkansas Democrat. When we got back to the gym that evening, we got back to the motel that evening. The Democrat was already there, and we were picked as the #1 team in the state. And we read that, and we had just got our hinds whipped. And so we had a lot of hard luck on the way. We had some great times, guys. Thank you.
We have plenty of desserts over here. Please eat up and catch up with your classmates. What's that?
Don't forget to sign the basketball.
Oh, sign the basketball, Billy says. So thank y'all for coming. Catch up with your classmates and go Hearts.